Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. I have a question for you. Let's do some table setting really quickly. How many of you have heard valid complaints in the workplace? Show of hands. Okay, and now let's be real. How many of you have maybe been the ones making those valid complaints in the workplace, right? Yes. Okay, thank you for your honesty. So I have been in a lot of different organizations where there has been disruption and there has been change, and it's hard. There's grumbling and there's complaining that comes with that. But there's also the truth that if someone is complaining, they care. And when they care, there's something behind that that is the seed of an opportunity. So we're going to talk through that and find out what is hidden in plain sight with you and the teams and the employees that you work with. So why do I share this information? My name is Korns Russell, and I have had a career in Hollywood entertainment and feature film and video games. And then I made a very intentional pivot from that into higher education. So now I'm a brand leader there, and I'm also an adjunct professor. And I really enjoy seeing how this particular framework and information and opportunity that I'm going to share with you today can be applied across sectors and across functions. So what we're going to cover are four key things: four types of complaints, the root causes of the complaining that you see at work, how to empower our employees to speak up, and then the framework and a call to action for you to take away and try if you so choose. So, four types of complaints. Based on a recent Harvard Business Review essay that was published in 2023, there are essentially four that can be identified easily. And here they are. These are the practical ones, the productive ones, right? These are the ones who are going to come in and probably have an idea. Venting, chronic, and malicious. Now, before I dive deeper, tell me, how many of these do you think are appropriate? Show me with your fingers, please. How many of these are appropriate? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay, great. I see a few of every answer except 4. Fair. The answer is actually 3. Because if you're coaching these folks the right way to do it, you can get them to be productive. So productive folks come in and they have an idea and they're looking for a recommendation. The folks that are in that venting phase, they have some emotional labor going on. That may transfer to you as a leader. That's hard. But it's true that if that is happening, they still care. They are venting because they need a release. They've got to get that pressure released somehow. And leaders, it's our job to help our teams be successful. So if that's what's happening, you can utilize these tools I'm sharing today to sort of help manage that. Now, chronic, that's a bit different and a little harder for sure. They've somehow learned that being a complaining employee on a regular basis is going to get them something that they need, but that can be coached as well. Now, malicious, hopefully it's really clear that that's not appropriate and we will not need to be accepting that. It needs to be shut down immediately. Leaders can typically tell that, but if you need help, HR and legal teams are typically there to help out with those moments. So let's talk through how we can find the hidden in plain sight opportunities for the first three. Disruption and change are truly nearly constant in the workplace. You have political unrest internally and externally. You have rapid technology change with large language models and AI. You have resource changes, leadership turnover. It's rampant. So something that can help when you're doing this in these moments with these people who are having frustrations and sharing them, you can come to them and you can say, it's definitely troubling and you can agree with them. It's okay to acknowledge it. And a term I use that I've learned is VUCA. How many of you guys have heard the term VUCA before? Okay, great. Yes. So it's an acronym and it stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's often referenced as something that the US military utilizes quite a bit. And it was originated by some researchers who were leadership professors. One of them, Warren Bettis, at USC. And so this term can really be utilized to showcase, I understand, you're right. This issue is frustrating. It's complex. It's VUCA. This moment is volatile. We don't know what to do next, and that's okay. So think about this term as you're talking to these folks that you're working with and use it to acknowledge and partner alongside them when they're frustrated. That's okay. It can be frightening to do maybe, first time happening, but it's really a powerful moment of leadership. So, what's the most common type of complaint that you actually hear from your team? Anybody thinking about that right now? Just think about it for a moment and maybe take a note. So, here's an example of several that happen. Workload. Genuinely not enough hours in the day to do the work that is expected by the deadline given. Communications issues. Think about meetings that you're in, inefficient ones in particular. Long amount of time, no agenda, no clear action items coming out of it, bunch of conversation, and no deadline for next steps. That's really difficult, right? So that's one of those things that people can complain about. A lack of resources. Now, this one can be relevant to physical resources, the actual supplies and materials needed to do your job, but it could also be relevant to digital software. There's a real need and a real hurdle sometimes to identify software that's needed in your organization and get it approved and licensed and contracted and then onboarded and adopted. Those are not simple things, but this can be a real problem for complaining in the workplace. And another one is actually even more intangible. It's upskilling. The resources to upskill, the time to do it, and the people who can help you with that knowledge are very difficult and intangible sometimes. But again, a serious opportunity for folks. And then rapid priority changes. I sort of mentioned earlier, there's a real situation going on with rapid leadership turnover. So even with stable leadership, there is a lot of changing in priorities, but with rapid leadership turnover, that's something that is definitely a concern. And then a lack of power to make change. That's what I'm here to share these tools about. So I will say, we're going to take this from these folks feeling frustrated and complaining and take them through to the full cooperation, right? We'll take them from feeling discontent and we'll take them all the way through to the full empowerment. So, this is what it looks like in the beginning. Folks are frustrated. Leaders don't signal that they're open to feedback. That is a hard thing to do because you have to take on that emotional labor potentially. Employees can feel silenced. They can get disenfranchised. And the problem is that they will start complaining to cope, to each other, to their colleagues in other departments, to their home families. And it becomes a cycle where that's where they're stuck. They even do it to re-engage because where there's a positive possibility for a solution to what they're complaining about, they start getting stuck in that energy that is negative because it's still energy. So don't let it fester. Take it forward and make sure that these folks that you are leading have the opportunity to really understand. Encourage all voices. I will caution, though, don't encourage all voices at once unless you really want to. Pick one person, focus in, and start and have this conversation with them. Except, of course, those malicious voices, don't encourage those. Take those and elevate as needed. And then finally, provide clarity before you move forward. There are some things out there, some different frameworks around your circle of control and your circle of influence and what's not in there. And make sure that as you're discussing this and as people are giving you ideas and recommendations and bringing it forward, they'll be able to bring that to you and you can set those boundaries. Yes, this is something that's in our circle of influence or control, or no, it's not. But even when it's not, the fact that you're open to the conversation brings power and respect and absolutely is golden, right? And the other piece I'll remember to say here is return on investment is what this is about in a business place sometimes, but you can also call it return on ideas because you're allowing these employees, these folks you're working with, to be part of the process and bring it forward and be empowered to even have the discussion and hopefully put something in place. So here's our framework. Here's how we start. You start with the first thing. What's your default future? This is what happens if we do nothing. This is probably what they're complaining about, right? The default future is its baseline. And then we have the invented future. Now, this is some magic because this is being bold and being brave and imagining it. The outcome you want to see. Write it down, think it through, and understand what it might be. And then think through, who are your allies? Who are the first people who need to help you with this? It might be, if we're talking about a time management problem with an agenda, with a meeting, who owns the meeting? It might be that you can bring up yourself and offer to be the one who's managing that. If you're talking about a situation where you're needing software or something that's an upskilling, do you need to talk to your finance management team? Do you need to talk to your IT partners? Do you just need to talk to your own boss is the first place to go? And here's a powerful story I'll share. Once I was part of a team where an entire floor of people was having a problem with the temperature. They did not have temperature controlled offices. And so they were cold or hot and physically unable to be comfortable do their work. Once that got fixed, everything changed. But for quite some time, they didn't know who and how to go to, the right people. And so figuring out who their allies were and getting that accomplished so that the temperature was an appropriate temperature for their comfort level was a huge change. And then finally, you craft your pitch for these folks. So this is how you craft that pitch. The idea. This is your invented future. This is what you said you want it to look like coming forward. You draft a timeline. There is real power in being able to say, I have numbers attached to my idea. So you think through, is this a matter of days to get something like the temperature in the HVAC potentially approved? Is this a time horizon of months and years if it's related to onboarding processes, software, changing supply chain? There's a lot of things, but putting the numbers down is powerful. Same for this next one, budgets. Now, budgets aren't always dollars. They're also time. Think through approximate dollars and the finances needed for something, but think through how many people need to be involved. How many hours will it take for them to be doing these things as they're moving forward to accomplish your invented future? And last, examples and assurances of success are gold here. Peer examples. So think about this. Think about the folks here at this conference and ask them for their advice. Think about folks who you see at your trade shows and your associations for the industries that you're a part of and ask them, or plan on going to one if you haven't been in a while. You can find these peer examples of actually what works and what doesn't to help you provide that information and say, I've really looked into this. And then also go on LinkedIn. Look for folks who have the same kind of title as you at other peer or competitor institutions. I would give some advice that sometimes there is a question of whether you should reach out to those folks at competitors and peers, but I recommend it. They are the same people in the trenches doing the same kind of roles that you are doing, and they can give you power in partnership and shared perspective. All right, so you say, great, these are interesting things to try, but that's a really hard conversation to have, to say to someone who's complaining, hey, I see that you are chronically complaining. I see that you are venting to me, and this is difficult to do, okay? So I'm going to give you some recommendations for how to start those conversations. So here's what I see. You're frustrated. I see that you care. Using this phrase is so powerful because you're saying, I see that you're frustrated and it's okay with me. I'm not afraid of that. And you're saying, I see that you care. You're showing value in the fact that they spoke up. Another one, I need you to be a leader with me and brainstorm some solutions. This is you telling them, I see your leadership. And this is you saying, I will come alongside you, arm in arm, and we're going to brainstorm together. And that has power. 3, what roadblocks are you facing? Help me understand. Now that's powerful too, because you're saying it's okay to talk about the hard things. I'm here to help lead and make you successful, right? And this one works really well, number 4, for when it's been something that's not verbal, that's more of like a physical thing. You've seen someone slam a door, or you've seen someone maybe turn red in the face and start sweating. So this is how you work it. During the meeting, I noticed X happened. I noticed you sat back, you crossed your arms, and you didn't contribute anymore. Tell me what happened. Share more about what you were thinking. I want to understand. Now, this is really powerful for when there is something that is more of a behavior, but you're not actually calling out behavior. You're just simply stating what you observed, right? And the last one, this can be when someone is feeling pretty uncomfortable or feeling maybe even in tears. And you can just simply say quietly or in whatever tone feels comfortable for you, how can I support you? And leave that silence and let them collect themselves if needed, right? And I have to say, some of these are inspired by Brene Brown and her Braving Conversations. And there's a lot of other opportunities and things out there from different resources to be able to coach yourself and practice this. So don't be afraid to practice these hard conversations. Do it in the mirror or with someone that you trust. Okay, so put it in motion. Here's what we're going to do. Think about your next steps. Who are your team members in each type? Proactive, productive, venting, chronic, and malicious. Hopefully not the last one. Who are they? And what do you think about this? Do they have permission to come to you? Or has it been signaled not to engage? Now, what do you want to do about it? It may be that what you want to do is take a minute and think about it. And that is a great answer. And when it's time to take action, some additional options include setting up that one-on-one meeting with these folks with one of them and just saying, let's have a conversation, and using those conversation starters. You can coach them through the steps that I just walked through. And you can even, if it's the right temperature for your team, you could bring this up in a team meeting, or maybe you're leading a task force and you can say, hey, I just want to say it's okay to say things aren't working. I just want to say I'm okay with that feedback. And you can think how that goes forward and manages it. You need to take that and consider it for your team and your culture. So remember, you don't have to engage everyone or even everyone at once, right? Emotional labor is real, and set those boundaries and those parameters around the circle of control, the circle of influence, and the other things that might be outside of it as the conversations go on. But unleashing this potential is morale magic, and not just for the team, but for yourself, because you feel empowering to these folks and the responsibility that team leaders have. That empowered human capital for the strong ROI is no joke. And again, remember, it's not just return on investment, it's return on ideas and encouraging folks to say, that's not working, maybe this will. And then when you make that impactful change, it is truly the best feeling ever. So here's the call to action one more time. Choose one complainer in your team. Have a tough conversation with them about it. Use the prompts. And ask them to partner up, arm in arm, hand in hand with you. Use the framework, craft the vision, craft the pitch, and make the recommendation. Because in the end, you start small, but you're dreaming big. And you're embracing the failure because it will happen. It's not going to go perfectly every time, but you celebrate those successes, because then you'll be taking these folks from their complaining all the way through to their cooperation, and you're taking them from their discontent all the way through to that full empowerment so that you can unleash what is hidden in plain sight. So let me know how it goes. Thank you very much.